This video is sponsored by Gate.io. If you set an account up using the link in the description, you'll get 25% back on all your spot and futures fees for life. Gate.io. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's get started then, shall we? A bit of Bitcoin, bit of everything. So what we're looking at the moment then is Bitcoin fighting on every time frame to basically stay sideways and make a decision as to which way it wants to go. To be fair with you, I don't know if there's anyone out there that is calling for any particular direction, but the odds are not in favour of either or, really. It's so sideways, so static, and it more or less is 50-50. You know, the higher term time frames do point to further upside. I mean, we're talking like weeklies and things like that. But, you know, when we're talking about a 4 hourly, all the moving averages have merged together. We've got a volatile move down and then sucked straight back up into this sideways sort of range. It's tiny range, really. I mean, buyers are stepping in, but when you're standing back and admiring the lack of volume, it just is just a dribble in comparison to what it was. And this is why I say I think it's very likely that the low is absolutely in around these levels and even around the low to mid 20,000s, because the buyers have been going crazy around here. And this is where the smart money, the hodlers' money came in. You know, getting ready to just sit back and enjoy the full cycle. Anywhere from this level here, around 28,000, has been a bit like squeezing blood out of a stone, and the volume sort of is even just getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we go on. The small volume does lead to large volume and big moves down the line, but right now it's still basically squeezing blood out of a stone. We've been basically 29,000 for, well, at least a full month, probably even going back there if you consider these wicks, and we've been here for a couple of months now. So there's basically not much going on here. Your guess is as good as mine. I know that sounds ridiculous to say, but it's true. Yeah, sometimes you have to stand back and go, well, look, statistically, it's there's really not much more to be said. As far as momentum is concerned, momentum does start, it does continue to increase to the upside, but it's not bullish, not yet. Now, if we just look at the way that the candle bodies have closed, yesterday we closed below the Bollinger Band. Today we're still above it. For the most part, we're above it here on the daily, so that does offer, I suppose, ever so slightly more chance of it breaking out and moving up from here. Again, it doesn't look particularly powerful, but the daily is positioned in a bullish way. 200 exponential being below us. It's only all the other moving averages were basically mashed and merged into one, which is why I'm saying, like, if there's somebody out there that's calling for a definite move, you know, they're putting they're sticking their neck out, really, because you know, I do favour further upside. It does look like it's more likely to go up, but as far as a setup and a signal is concerned, absolutely not. If we take it back down to a 4 hourly, it's still exactly the same thing going on the 4 hourly. All moving averages merging together, basically giving no impression either way of which way it wants to go. So we'll turn our attention to traditional markets, and then we'll go on to, well, we'll leave it there, actually, to be honest. I'll make a separate video on Chainlink today. So, Forex. What are you doing today? Where's our euro dollar? The euro dollar, oh, look, it's daily sideways. Further downside is probably more likely in this. We've got the curvature on the Bollinger Band now pushing us further down. I wouldn't get massively bearish, but it does look like we're going to revisit these lower zones, 200 simple and exponential. MACD crossing below the 0 point. No bullish divergence to be witnessed here. 4 hourly, again, below all major moving averages as well, and fresh short signal generated as well on the Ichi Cloud. Rejection on the 10 exponential as well, so if we do push up, we could maybe see moves back up to 110, and it'd just be another area to short. I'd be surprised to see us move above 109.7, to be fair. Don't really see any reason to get particularly bullish on this with the fresh death crosses taking place on the 4 hourly. So what's bearish for euro is bullish for Dixie, so we'll expect to see the exact opposite on the Dixie. In fact, the Dixie is even more bullish than the dollar, than the euro is bearish. So it does look like dollar strength is kicking in, which is never a good sign for things that are priced with a dollar. You know, anything being traded with a dollar usually has a negative response to this. Now, we've not broken out of the trend line yet, but every aspect of this chart, more or less every aspect, looks quite good. We do have one single drive of bearish divergence on the 4 hourly, so maybe the next push up does get a decent rejection. With the 200 exponential hitting the trend line and the 200 simple approaching the trend line, we're talking like 103.3 maybe max before the next pullback on this one, but it'll only be a pullback which is likely to go to into a breakout. So I do think that we are looking for a breakout on the dollar at some point, and I don't think it's going to be a huge reversal, but I do think it's going to be a bit more up before we go back down again, and that's fine because traditional markets like S&P, for instance, they have been wanting to consolidate a little bit. They've been tearing up since the beginning of the year, to be honest. We do have two drives of hidden bullish divergence brewing on the daily for the S&P here, so we might get a bounce on this as well. Whether we get it at the same time as the dollar going up or as the dollar rejects is probably more likely, but another bounce on this one. Do I think it's going to go on to a new local high or a new all-time high like those super bullish retail media would suggest? I couldn't say that for certain. The fact that they were even talking about $5,000 S&P made me more skeptical about the price, but a dip to be bought, I would imagine. But if we can clear 4,530, basically a Bollinger Band, I would be kind of impressed, but we'll see. Individual stocks you can take on face value, I suppose, depending on what it is that they're associated with. Right, so we've done that. Let's have a think about gold, because with or without the dollar, I still think this is a good opportunity for gold to bounce from here. We don't have anything special taking place on the momentum side, but as far as a support is concerned, this is like a really decent support. Maybe a little bit further down before we see it, but it is a pretty decent support. The 4 hourly is suggesting a further downside until proven otherwise. Still consolidating from this high all the way up back. Well, technically all the way back here, but this last little run over here. So maybe we see a double bottom based around the 4 hourly, back down to 1900, and then a bounce from there. People don't think that the gold can move up when dollar moves up, but remember the dollar, even though it's moving up, it's still quite low in compared to where it was, and you do see you don't necessarily see inverse moves as much as you would on other assets as you would with gold. So it's not the only thing that could move up. Anything could move up, but I personally think that gold is approaching an area, a significant area, if we've not already approached it and hit it already. One drive of bullish divergence on the RSI on the 4 hourly. It's only one drive, so maybe we do come down to test, a little bit closer to 1900 flat before we get that bounce, and that would be basically a double bottom based on a 4 hourly, and then a ricochet and a bounce up from there. It would be a golden cross retest on the daily as well, so we'll see how this. See how this materializes. It would also be the first time we test the 200 simple moving average after a golden cross. We've done the exponential, we've not done the simple yet, and then basically the simple sits down here at 1900. So quite bullish on the way that this chart looks, looking for a bounce, maybe even a V-shaped recovery on gold. And you can only assume that gold and Bitcoin trend together like they have done throughout this year. This year they've been more correlated than anything else, so maybe we do see upside on Bitcoin through association with that bounce on gold. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get it. No guarantees, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get it. Right, so in a nutshell, that's how we're looking on Monday. We are looking for euro down, dollar up. Still looking for gold up, looking for a bounce on S&P, but no new local high. And for Bitcoin, like I said, your guess is as good as mine, but if we stand back and think about the higher term timeframes being the daily, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a chaotic or a horrendous crash. Nothing like that. If anything, if we do go down to these lower zones, they are buy zones, and they're buy zones to be taken seriously. The main one for me would be in this green area, which would be the fresh golden cross retest of the 3-day, which is your 200 simple, exponential and simple moving average, 27,600 give or take. So yeah, we'll sit back, watch and wait. I'm relatively optimistic about the way that Bitcoin's going to work in the short term, to be honest, but I'm not willing to call because there's absolutely no reason to call. We're looking at this through the lens of a broader market where gold actually looks like it wants to bounce, and even though that Dixie wants to bounce as well, I don't think it's going to have too much of a dramatic effect on anything else. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Let's sit back and hope for the best. I mean, you can spin this in any direction you want, really. We can have plenty of drives of bearish divergence on the 3-day, despite the golden cross retest. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Crypto is definitely tricky at the moment, but traditional market's not so bad. So we do have other markets we can partake in, so we don't have to glue ourselves to these cryptos. Charts. It's not the case. There's plenty of opportunity out there in other markets. Right, so I'll leave it with you there, and yeah, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.